For many, there will be a natural pulling away from constant digital engagement, a recognition of how certain forms of connectivity actually diminish rather than enhance genuine connection. For others, technology will be revealed as a potential extension of consciousness when engaged with intentionality rather than compulsion. What's ending is unconscious consumption and dependency. What's beginning is a sovereign relationship with these tools, using them in service to your highest purpose rather than as distractions from the present moment or substitutes for direct experience. I want to speak now about a particular group of you who have been struggling with a sense of purpose or direction. You've tried various paths, explored different careers or creative expressions, but nothing has fully resonated as your unique contribution. This transition will bring the clarity you've been seeking, but not in the way you might expect. Rather than a single definitive answer, you'll experience an integration of seemingly disparate interests and abilities. You'll understand that your purpose isn't narrowly defined by occupation, but expressed through the quality of consciousness you bring to everything you do. The specific forms this takes will evolve organically as you follow the energy of joy and service that will become unmistakable after this shift. For those who have been experiencing increasing sensitivity to environments, foods, medications, or electromagnetic fields, this isn't a deficiency to overcome, but an evolution of your sensory capabilities. The coming change will help you understand how to work with these heightened perceptions rather than being overwhelmed by them. You'll develop discernment about which environments support your well-being and which deplete it. You'll gain clarity about the specific nourishment your unique system requires. Most importantly, you'll recognize that these sensitivities are actually sophisticated guidance systems helping you navigate toward optimal conditions for your continued awakening. The relationship between your conscious and subconscious mind will undergo a fundamental transformation in this shift. Patterns, beliefs, and emotional responses that have operated below the threshold of awareness will become increasingly visible. This transparency doesn't mean these elements will instantly resolve. Integration requires patience and compassion, but their power to drive behavior without your knowledge will diminish significantly. You'll gain access to parts of yourself that have remained hidden, not as adversaries to overcome, but as aspects to be understood and ultimately embraced as you recognize the protective intentions behind even the most challenging patterns. For those of you who have felt a growing disconnect from practices or traditions that once felt spiritually nourishing, trust this evolution. The coming change isn't about abandoning the wisdom these paths contain, but rather about moving beyond rigid frameworks into direct experience. Many established spiritual systems were designed for previous consciousness thresholds and naturally feel constraining as you expand beyond them. What's emerging is a more fluid relationship with truth that honors the contributions of various traditions, while recognizing that no single approach can encompass the multi-dimensional reality you're stepping into. Your internal guidance system is becoming sophisticated enough to discern what serves your evolution without external validation. I want to address those of you who have been experiencing unusual phenomena, seeing lights or colors others don't, perceive, hearing tones or voices without external source, sensing presences around you, receiving information through channels that don't correspond to your physical senses. These experiences, which might have been dismissed as imagination or even pathologized in the old paradigm, are actually early indicators of your expanding perceptual capabilities. The coming shift will normalize these abilities, helping you Understand how to work with them constructively rather than fearing or suppressing them. You aren't losing touch with reality. You're gaining access to aspects of it that have always existed beyond conventional perception. The change approaching will dramatically affect your experience of identity itself. The boundaries of what you've considered self will undergo a profound expansion, revealing the artificial nature of the separation you've perceived between yourself and the world around you. This isn't about losing your individual expression. Paradoxically, your unique qualities will become more clearly defined even as you recognize your fundamental non-separation from all that exists. This shift in identity creates the foundation for the heightened intuition, synchronicity, and manifestation abilities that characterize the consciousness you're moving into. Type connected if you've already begun experiencing moments of this expanded identity. For those of you who have felt increasingly called to examine your family lineage, ancestral patterns, or cultural heritage, this impulse is directly connected to the coming transition. You're being guided to recognize both the gifts and the limitations that have been transmitted through your bloodline. This awareness isn't about assigning blame, but about conscious reclamation of what serves your evolution and compassionate release of what doesn't. The shift will activate dormant abilities that exist in your genetic inheritance, while simultaneously freeing you from restrictive patterns that have persisted for generations. You're positioned at a pivotal point where healing extends both backward and forward through time. The coming change will bring a profound shift in how you experience and express creativity. Creation will no longer feel like a struggle to manifest something from nothing, but rather a process of allowing what already exists in potential form to emerge through you. The artificial separation between artistic expression and other aspects of life will dissolve as you recognize that the same creative force flows through everything you do, from preparing a meal to solving a problem at work, from arranging your living space to engaging in conversation. This creativity isn't reserved for those with particular talents or training. It's your birthright as a conscious participant in an inherently creative universe. I see some of you concerned about financial stability through this transition, wondering how spiritual evolution translates to material well-being. This shift doesn't require choosing between consciousness and prosperity, quite the opposite. As you align more fully with your authentic purpose and release limiting beliefs about scarcity, you'll discover pathways to abundance that support rather than compromise your values. The old paradigm that positions spirituality and material success as opposing forces is dissolving. What's emerging is an understanding that true wealth encompasses multiple dimensions. Financial resources, yes, but also time freedom, meaningful work, supportive relationships, vibrant health, and connection to purpose. All of these become increasingly available as you embody the consciousness this transition offers. For those who have been experiencing a growing dissatisfaction with achievement-based metrics of success, constantly striving for the next goal, only to find it hollow upon attainment, the coming change brings profound relief. You're moving beyond the linear progress narrative into a more cyclical, organic understanding of growth that honors rest as much as action, reflection as much as production, being as much as doing. This doesn't mean abandoning ambition or meaningful contribution, but rather grounding these expressions in a deeper understanding of what truly constitutes fulfillment beyond external validation or accumulation. The exhale is becoming as valued as the inhale in the rhythm of your life. The coming shift will significantly affect your relationship with authority, both external authorities and your own internal authority. Systems, institutions, and individuals that have claimed the right to dictate truth will be seen with new clarity. This isn't about rebellion for its own sake, but about discernment regarding which authorities actually serve collective well-being and which primarily maintain control. Simultaneously, your trust in your own knowing will deepen beyond what you've previously experienced. This balance, respecting wisdom where it genuinely exists while honoring your internal guidance system, creates the foundation for the more collaborative, less hierarchical structures that will characterize the emerging paradigm. Type sovereign if you're ready to claim your inherent authority. For those of you who have been experiencing a growing dissonance between your internal reality and the consensus reality portrayed in mainstream narratives, the coming shift will bring both clarity and community. You'll discover that you're not alone in perceiving the limitations and distortions of prevailing worldviews. You'll connect with others who share your commitment to truth beyond convenience or convention. Most importantly, you'll develop the discernment to engage with collective systems where necessary while maintaining the integrity of your own perception. This isn't about withdrawal from society, but about becoming a conscious participant in its evolution, neither blindly accepting nor reactively rejecting, but thoughtfully transforming through your presence. The relationship between effort and outcome is being fundamentally recalibrated in this transition. You're moving beyond the linear equation of hard work automatically producing desired results, a paradigm that has led to both exhaustion and disillusionment. What's emerging is a more sophisticated understanding of how intention, aligned action, divine timing, and receptivity work together in manifestation. You'll discover that certain outcomes arrive with surprising ease when they're in alignment with your authentic path, while others remain elusive despite enormous effort because they're not actually serving your highest evolution. This discernment, knowing when to strive and when to allow, becomes one of your most valuable skills in navigating the new terrain. I want to speak now about a specific aspect of this transition that particularly affects those of you who identify as empaths or highly sensitive people. The coming shift doesn't require you to build stronger boundaries or protect yourself from others' energies in the ways you've been taught. Rather, it offers a fundamental upgrade to your energetic operating system, allowing you to remain open and responsive without absorption or depletion. You'll move beyond the paradigm of separation that positions sensitivity as vulnerability, to be defended against, discovering instead that clear differentiation without disconnection is your natural state. This evolution transforms what has often felt like a burden into one of your greatest gifts in service to collective healing. For those experiencing increasing awareness of global challenges, climate disruption, social inequality, political polarization, and other systemic issues, the coming change brings both clarity and empowerment. You'll move beyond both hopeless overwhelm and naive optimism into a grounded understanding of your specific role in addressing these collective conditions. This isn't about carrying the weight of the world's transformation on your individual shoulders, but rather about recognizing the unique contribution you're positioned to make through your particular gifts, locations, and connections. The shift in consciousness you're experiencing isn't separate from these external challenges. It's precisely what enables new solutions to emerge through you and others undergoing similar awakenings. The coming transition will profoundly affect your relationship with time itself. The chronic sense of rushing, of never having enough hours in the day, of constantly playing catch-up with an ever-growing list of obligations. This particular form of suffering is being released. You're moving into a more spacious experience of temporality, where presence expands the moment and intuition guides timing. This doesn't mean abandoning commitments or responsibilities, but rather engaging them from a different quality of awareness that naturally aligns with the organic rhythms of creation rather than artificial deadlines. You'll accomplish what truly matters with greater ease while releasing the compulsion to fill every moment with productivity. For those who have been experiencing a growing discomfort with spiritual bypassing, the use of spiritual concepts to avoid addressing emotional wounds, systemic injustices, or practical challenges, the coming shift brings welcome integration. You're moving beyond false dichotomies that separate spiritual awakening from emotional healing, consciousness expansion from social responsibility, transcendent awareness from embodied action. What's emerging is a more mature spirituality that encompasses rather than escapes the full spectrum of human experience, that recognizes addressing shadow aspects, both personal and collective, as essential to authentic awakening rather than distractions from it. Type whole if you're committed to this integrated path. I see some of you questioning whether this message applies to you specifically, wondering if you're somehow excluded from this collective transition. Let me be absolutely clear. If these words are reaching you now, you are directly included in this invitation. There are no accidents in divine orchestration. Your presence here, receiving this transmission at this particular moment, is confirmation of your readiness. The doubts you may be experiencing are not evidence of your exclusion, but rather the final resistance of old patterns preparing to release their hold. Trust the resonance you feel beneath the questioning. Trust the recognition stirring in your soul, even as your mind seeks certainty it cannot provide. The days immediately following this last Saturday will bring a particular kind of clarity that might initially feel disorienting. Priorities that have organized your life may suddenly seem hollow or irrelevant. Relationships that have defined your identity might reveal themselves as complete. Beliefs that have structured your understanding of reality could dissolve without immediate replacements. This temporary void is not something to fear or rush through. It's a necessary clearing that precedes authentic reconstruction. Allow yourself to rest in the not knowing, trusting that what emerges from this space of possibility will be far more aligned with your true nature than what came before. For those of you who have been experiencing an intensification of life circumstances, recently, unusually challenging situations arising in quick succession, testing your resilience and adaptability, recognize this as purposeful preparation. These accelerated lessons aren't punishment or bad luck. They're the final compression needed to catalyze your expansion. Each challenge has been specifically calibrated to strengthen precisely the muscles you'll need for the next phase of your journey. The skills and wisdom you've gained through these experiences aren't random. They're essential components of the unique contribution you're being prepared to make in the emerging paradigm. The coming change will transform your relationship with the concepts of healing and wholeness themselves. You're moving beyond the paradigm that positions you as fundamentally broken and in need of endless fixing. What's emerging is the recognition that beneath the various wounds, traumas, and conditioned limitations you've been working to heal lies an essential wholeness that has never been damaged. This doesn't invalidate your healing journey or suggest abandoning necessary therapeutic processes, but rather repositions them as remembering rather than repairing, as clearing away what obscures your inherent completeness rather than attempting to construct it from scattered pieces. I want to speak now to those of you who have been experiencing increasing difficulty with practices or substances that alter consciousness, whether meditation, breathwork, plant medicines, or other modalities. What once felt expansive or revelatory may now create discomfort, resistance, or even adverse reactions. This isn't regression, but evolution. The consciousness shifts these practices were designed to facilitate are increasingly becoming your baseline state. The forceful methods of creating temporary openings are being replaced by a more subtle, constant communion with expanded awareness. Trust this natural unfolding rather than pushing through resistance in ways that might have served you previously but are no longer aligned with your current process. For those experiencing unexpected career dissatisfaction or workplace tension, despite external success or stability, the coming transition holds particular significance. The misalignment between your evolving values and conventional definitions of professional accomplishment is becoming too pronounced to ignore. This doesn't necessarily mean abandoning your current field entirely, but it does require honest reassessment of how your work either contributes to or detracts from collective well-being. The shift will bring clarity about how your specific skills and insights might be applied in more fulfilling contexts, potentially revealing opportunities for transformation within existing structures rather than requiring complete reinvention. Through effi, change approaching will dramatically affect your physical health and vitality, often in ways that conventional medical paradigms struggle to measure or explain. You're moving beyond the mechanistic view of the body as something to be controlled or optimized through external interventions. What's emerging is a more collaborative relationship with your physical form, recognizing its innate intelligence and working with, rather than against, its natural processes. This shift doesn't reject the valuable contributions of modern medicine, but complements them with an awareness of the consciousness dimensions of well-being that technological approaches often overlook. Type vitality if you're ready to embrace this more integrated approach to health. I see a specific group of you who have been experiencing unusual phenomena in your homes or personal spaces. Objects moving without explanation, electrical devices behaving erratically, unexpected sounds or temperature fluctuations. These aren't imagination or coincidence, but tangible manifestations of the energetic recalibration underway. The boundaries between physical and non-physical reality are thinning as your perception expands, allowing you to notice interactions that have always been occurring, but were previously below the threshold of awareness. Rather than fearing these experiences, recognize them as confirmation of the very real shifts happening not just in consciousness, but in the fabric of what you perceive as material reality. The coming transition will bring a profound shift in how you experience and process information. The constant cognitive overwhelm of the digital age, the endless input streams demanding attention and analysis, is being replaced by a more intuitive, direct knowing that bypasses linear processing. You'll find yourself understanding complex situations or concepts through immediate comprehension rather than sequential reasoning. This doesn't diminish your analytical capabilities, but rather complements them with access to knowledge that arrives through different channels. The integration of these ways of knowing, logical and intuitive, sequential and immediate, creates a more complete intelligence than either approach alone could provide. For those who have been experiencing increasing friction in living, situations or geographical locations that once felt suitable, the coming change brings both clarity and opportunity. The places that support your continued evolution are becoming more distinctly evident through both subtle and obvious signs. This heightened discernment about environment isn't superficial preference, but recognition of the very real energetic exchanges between your expanding field and the spaces you inhabit. Some locations naturally amplify and support the frequencies you're moving into, while others create resistance or dampening effects. Trust your growing sensitivity to these distinctions as valuable navigation toward conditions that facilitate, rather than hinder your awakening. The shift you're approaching will fundamentally transform your relationship with what you've perceived as personal flaws or weaknesses. The very qualities you've worked to overcome or hide, particular sensitivities, emotional responses, or ways of processing information, are being revealed as essential aspects of your unique design rather than deficiencies to correct. This doesn't mean abandoning growth or responsibility, but rather discerning between authentic evolution and unnecessary self-rejection based on external standards. You'll discover that certain supposed imperfections are actually specialized adaptations perfectly suited to your specific purpose in the collective awakening unfolding now. I want to speak directly to those of you who have been experiencing unusual disruptions in sleep patterns, difficulty falling asleep, waking at specific times, particularly between 2 to 4 a.m., vivid dreams, or feeling simultaneously exhausted and wired. These aren't random disturbances, but purposeful recalibrations. The hours typically allocated to unconsciousness are being utilized for accelerated upgrading of your energetic system, often accompanied by important downloads of information that your conscious mind will gradually integrate. Rather than pathologizing these changes or struggling to force normal sleep patterns, adapt as much as possible to this temporary phase, allowing short rest periods throughout the day if traditional nighttime sleep remains elusive. The coming change will bring a significant shift in your relationship with intuition and guidance. What has perhaps felt like occasional, unpredictable flashes of insight or knowing will develop into a more consistent, accessible stream of information. You'll move beyond questioning these perceptions or requiring external validation to a grounded confidence in this natural capacity. This evolution doesn't render critical thinking obsolete. In fact, the integration of intuitive knowing with discerning analysis creates a more comprehensive intelligence than either faculty alone could provide. The artificial separation between these ways of knowing is dissolving, revealing them as complementary aspects of your complete perceptual system. Type guided if you're ready to trust your intuition more fully. For those experiencing increasing discomfort with certain foods, substances, or environments that never bothered you before, trust this evolving sensitivity. Your system is becoming more refined in its ability to distinguish between what supports your highest functioning and what creates discord or depletion. This isn't about judgment or creating arbitrary restrictions, but rather about honoring the increasingly specific feedback your body is providing about its needs. The coming shift will bring greater clarity about these distinctions, helping you navigate choices with confidence rather than confusion. This refinement isn't limitation but liberation. Freedom from influences that have subtly diminished your vitality without your conscious awareness. The transition approaching will profoundly affect your experience of presence, the quality of awareness you bring to each moment. What may have required deliberate practice to maintain briefly will become increasingly your natural state. The incessant mental commentary that has accompanied most experiences, analyzing, judging, comparing, projecting, will gradually quiet without effort on your part, revealing a more direct, immediate relationship with reality. This doesn't mean the thinking mind disappears, but rather that it assumes its proper place as a useful tool rather than an unacknowledged master. The spaciousness and clarity that emerge in this shift allow for both deeper engagement with what truly matters an effortless release of what doesn't. I see many of you questioning whether you're prepared enough for this transition, whether you've done sufficient inner work, spiritual practice, or conscious preparation. This concern itself reveals a fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of what's occurring. This shift isn't being granted as reward for achievement or withheld as punishment for inadequacy. It's a natural evolutionary process in which you're already participating simply by being here now. The readiness required isn't perfection, but willingness. Openness to releasing what no longer serves and receiving what's being offered. Your presence here, engaging with these words, is confirmation of that essential willingness, regardless of your perceived spiritual status or accomplishments. For those who have been experiencing a growing disconnect from news cycles, social media, and other forms of collective attention direction, trust this natural withdrawal. It isn't apathy or avoidance, but discernment. The coming shift will bring clarity about which information streams actually serve your evolution and which primarily create distraction, anxiety, or divisiveness without contributing to meaningful action. This doesn't mean disconnecting from collective concerns, but rather engaging them through different channels, direct experience, intuitive guidance, and sources that approach complex issues with nuance rather than reactivity. Your attention is a precious resource being reclaimed from fragmentation for more focused, effective contribution. The final hours of this last Saturday carry particular potency for intention setting. The veil between what you envision and what manifests is extraordinarily thin during this transition window. Take time for conscious creation, not from a place of lack or striving, but from clear recognition of what you're here to experience and express in this lifetime. Be specific in your vision, but flexible about its form. Focus on the essence of what you're calling in, rather than attaching to particular timelines or methods of arrival. This intentional creation isn't separate from divine orchestration, but your conscious participation in it, aligning your individual desires with the larger evolutionary current carrying us all forward. Type creating if you're ready to set powerful intentions in this potent window. I want to offer a final reflection as we conclude this transmission. The change you're moving through isn't happening to you. It's happening through you and as you. You aren't passive recipients of an external force, but conscious participants in a collective awakening that you chose to be part of before incarnating into this particular time and place. The discomfort, uncertainty, and occasional disorientation you may be experiencing aren't signs of something going wrong, but confirmation that everything is proceeding exactly as designed. Trust the intelligence that's orchestrating this transformation, not as something separate from you, but as the deepest, truest expression of who you've always been beneath the temporary, forgetting that the human experience entails. Know that you are seen, held, and guided every step of this journey. The light you carry has never dimmed, though circumstances may have temporarily obscured your view of it. The remembering underway now isn't about becoming something you weren't before, but recognizing what has always been true beyond the illusions of separation, limitation, and unworthiness that have characterized the consciousness you're now transcending. The last Saturday marks not an ending, but a threshold, a sacred pause between what has been and what is now beginning. Step through with confidence, knowing that everything that truly matters moves forward with you, while all that falls away creates space for what more perfectly aligns with the magnificent being you are becoming. Thank you for watching.
Hey, roll up. Damn. Damn. This don't make no.
Here's my ride. Let's roll.
That shit is burned into my preference. Crazy ass
You
cow.
still hard, huh?
Oh crap. Sure. All right. Not cool.
Suspect located. We're moving in.
Where do you think?
Suspect got crashed. You get robbed, chill.
Damn. What's going on?
Don't become no murder case now, nigga.
Fucking hell, man.
Black Madonna. Right here on LSUR.
Tired of fad diets? First it was vegetarianism, then veganism, then came the Vice City diet of no carbs, just grapefruit, rum, domestic violence, and cocaine. Finally, there's a diet that makes sense. Extreme Paleo TM. Diets come and go, but the Extreme Paleo TM diet has stood the test of time. When you live the Extreme Paleo TM lifestyle, you'll take dietary clues from our enlightened days. Body will finally be at one with the world, tuned to perfection as you figure out what's for lunch and who might have you on the menu. Extreme Paleo TM, trademarked because it works.
Songs from the American